Well, hello there, children of the night, and yeah, like I said, I'll be back. I'll be back in a few minutes, and here I am. And this time, I got myself some water, and let's check it. Let's see what the creepiest locations in Fallout 4 are. I'm trying to keep this as brief as possible. Let's do this. Enjoy the game.
The creepiest locations in Fallout 4.
Hey, it's this guy again. A super duper mart again.
Fallout 3, you're probably already intimately familiar with the fabled Super Duper Mart.
Yes.
Which is overrun by raiders and most likely the death of your innocents.
What kind of an idiot screws with a raider anyway?
Fallout 4's Super Duper Mart may look similar in layout, but that is where the similarities end. The place is littered with the corpses of ghouls. You get the sense that something terrible had happened long ago, but you cannot quite place your finger on what exactly.
Came back yesterday with Emma. Everyone's gone. Looks like they left in a hurry and had one hell of a fight.
What happened here?
Suddenly, as if to punish you for disturbing their slumber, every ghoul in your immediate vicinity slowly rises up, with droves violently rushing at you from all directions.
It's like a zombie apocalypse.
Pouring in from the tiny slits in the windows from the outside. The more you try to retreat into a safe corner, the more likely you are to accidentally wake up a fresh batch.
Just like a zombie apocalypse.
It seems the only cure for a ghoul infestation is fire. Lots and lots of fire.
Gorski's cabin.
A lonely cabin sits in the woods, akin to something straight out of a horror movie. Here lies Gorski's cabin. As you approach, it seems as though the dead rise up from the earth itself, vigilantly protecting the cabin and its unknown contents. Though the cabin itself is unassuming, if not a bit creepy, you then discover the cellar. The atmosphere quickly takes
Of course,
a turn
it's the
as you
cellar.
begin
It's
to
always the
explore
cellar.
its murky depths. As you descend lower, you notice radiation levels start to spike as you're met with a single door at the end of the hall. Behind it, as if patiently waiting for your imminent arrival, the man formerly known as Wayne Gorski. After contending with the ghoulified Gorski, you'll find Wayne's final journal entry, a collection of paranoid ravings in which he explains that he fears electricity, as he believes it to be a form of government mind control, explaining the rebellious intent behind his workstation. Although, ironically, the barrels of radioactive material and pieces of mini-nuke he was assembling in retaliation was no doubt ultimately the cause of his wretched transformation.
Whoa.
University Point is a town slowly getting back on its feet after a brief yet devastating brush with the Institute some years before. Things go awry when a local girl named Jacqueline finds partial research data on reactor efficiency whilst scavenging in a Mirelurk-infested cave below the town hall. When word gets back to the Institute, the town is threatened by an emissary sent by the Institute with a chilling ultimatum.
The Institute wants that data. You got 2 days to get it for me, and then we do this the hard way.
Accusations fly. Jacqueline herself is vilified, and the town quickly descends into chaos. You can find holotape recordings of frightened townsfolk demanding that her father hands her over to the Institute, or the angry mob will dispose of her themselves.
Bullshit. Now, I overheard her talking to that trader last week. Something about getting 10 times the price for something if she sold it in Diamond City.
The last tragic piece of the story is scrawled on a note found alongside a long-deceased corpse. The torn note is hastily written by a terrified Jacqueline to her father, who has holed herself in a room during her last moments before the Institute's synths tear down the door, and her last words being, "I'm sorry."
Museum of Witchcraft. I've heard of this place
The
before.
foreboding Salem Museum of Witchcraft, once a museum dedicated to the occult. By the basement door, you find a heavily mutilated corpse of a member of a gunner's gang. On the gunner's body is a holotape, in which it quickly becomes apparent something monstrous in size is hunting down and eviscerating members of the gang.
Connor, where's the rest of him?
What is that?
Alvin, Sergeant Lee, grab the case. Do not let that thing out of your sight. Everyone inside the museum, now!
The survivors took refuge in the museum. Navigating
Oh,
the basement, it
what
also
is that?
becomes apparent that something very big and very heavy is on the floor above, devouring its fresh victims. Although you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
sight the monstrous form directly, you have the distinct honor of hearing bones crunch and flesh torn apart as corpses are slowly dragged out of sight. When you finally
Jeez, what
ascend
is
to the
up
floor
there?
above, you're greeted by a room of mannequins,
Huh?
precariously placed, as if a silent audience to all that has transpired. As you round a corner, you come face to face with the source of your dread, a savage death claw.
Of course, it's a
In
death
the
claw.
unlikely event you survive the encounter, you find out through a holotape that the death claw was not a mere mindless beast tearing apart the gunner's gang for its own wicked amusement, but rather a victim of the gunner's gang, as they had stolen the death claw's eggs for profit. And you find what remains of its nest in a back room in the museum. You're then faced with a murky moral conundrum: return the egg to its nest or complete the delivery for yourself.
I'd return the egg to its nest. Because that's harsh. Why would you do that to a death claw?
Sandy Cove's convalescent home is a home for the elderly and the infirm. As you enter, you're greeted by the attendee, an ever chipper yet somewhat out of touch Mr. Handy, which is happy to check you in to visit your ailing grandmother.
Okay.
Visiting my grandma.
Oh, how nice! Don't forget to sign in, please.
Everything seems on the up and up when you realize all the old folks have safes you can greedily pillage, with the front desk terminal even giving you precise locations of each
Yep, I knew it was
room,
going to be
as
like
residents
Andale.
are known to be absent-minded in their old age. With the promise of loot on your mind and a gleam in your eye, you begin your sweep of the rooms. As you move from room to room, you see that the residents are all deceased, almost as if they've been posed to act out a scene from their lives they'd forfeit. Mortimer, who loved the sea, lies in his bed, somewhat appropriately next to his sea captain's hat. Or
Yeah.
the green thumb Margaret, surrounded by her beloved plants. And Catherine, whose cats miss her so dearly they can be seen around the home. When
Whoa.
you're well into your pilfering,
I didn't know there
you
were
hear a
cats in this
strange
game.
commotion downstairs. The attendee below greets some new guests to the home, only to be eviscerated on the spot. It seems fate is not without a sense of irony. As you'd been sweeping the home for goodies to keep, the Institute has entered to perform its own death sweep as they locate your movement in seconds and hunt you down with surgical precision. You may survive your encounter and your brush with the Institute.
It would appear my target has disappeared.
Ooh.
But the question that weighs heavily on your heart is, surely this wasn't their first visit
Now
to
I
the home.
understand. You are hiding because you fear death.
Yeah. That's what we get for scaring me.
The Pickman Gallery, a part of North End, is marked by a bright red door. Raiders are swarming around the location.
Oh,
It doesn't
okay.
take long to find out why.
I heard Pickman skinned Roy alive after he smashed him. Let the rats get him. Gives me the creeps just thinking about it.
As you enter the building, you stumble into a scene playing out where raiders are attempting to break into the basement whilst threatening a man named Pickman. It seems the raiders were none too happy about Pickman's penchant for brazenly murdering their brethren.
Only a fucking coward hides.
As he proudly leaves a calling card on each of his victims, taunting those who find them with, "Pickman was here. Find me if you dare," with a signature love heart painted in blood. As you further explore his domicile, you find raider heads casually stuffed on pikes, accompanied by a disturbing art collection painted partially with the blood of
I've seen worse.
Pickman himself can be found deep within his subterranean lair beneath his house, confronted by the raiders and their ringleader, Slab.
Now you can hunt and torture our people to your heart's content. I'm gonna enjoy killing you.
If you choose to save Pickman, he will happily explain why he is taken to murdering every raider he can.
Those people deserve worse than that.
And with his eerily calm demeanor, confesses that his hobby is butchering raiders, and that you should be thankful, as the act itself in turn helps you, and that you both share the same killer tendencies.
I would have done it either way. That's all the more reason to reward you.
He'll also give you a key to his personal stash as a reward, which is cleverly hidden amongst his gruesome collection of paintings. In it, you can obtain his knife, Hickman's blade.
Well, at least he's taking down raiders. I mean, I'm with him on the taking down the raiders part. Ooh, an insane asylum.
When
This
first
should be good.
approaching Parsons State Insane Asylum, you're greeted with a monstrous building,
Of
gilded
course.
in intensely gorgeous Gothic architecture. That and
Okay,
some
pretty
well-equipped
normal.
mercs with itchy trigger fingers. Though in their defense, they do warn you first that it is private property.
This place is off limits. Move along.
Yeah,
If you
right.
happen by Superintendent Cabot's terminal, you can get a sense of life at the asylum before the bombs had dropped. And it's revealed that the patient's admittance varies drastically from the mundane to more sinister origins. From Amelia Storsky, who admitted herself voluntarily into Parsons during counseling sessions, it is strongly believed that she was behind the poisoning of 4 sorority sisters at her college. Her art therapy sessions were considered disturbing. Or Robert Bobby Smith, who gleefully admits to his crime of multiple homicide/stabbings. The treatment of choice is music therapy.
Of
It's
course.
the only piece known to stop his laughter, which is near constant. Or Charisse Fano, a
Ooh,
patient
man.
without any violent history, rather an acute case of paraphilia, a sexual condition. It's recorded that as long as she exudes good behavior, she's able to wear her own clothing of choice, which consists of black leather, and she's allowed conjugal visits with approved male associates, only if there's a discussion of said visits with Superintendent Cabot in conjunction with contemplative psychotherapy and shock therapy.
Why?
Or Night Wall. In the isolation ward, he refuses to share his real name, as he claims is his secret identity, and he believes he's a superhero and possesses an exaggerated sense of justice. His file states that isolation from other patients is essential to avoid altercations, though all of this could almost be considered benign in the world of Fallout. Down below, in a subterranean section of the building, is
What
the
lies below?
enigmatic Lorenzo, Jack Cabot's father, who is perplexingly being held behind a stasis field. The man himself is shrouded in mystery, especially the peculiar artifact he wears, which seems to emanate power and ancient awareness. You can either overload Lorenzo's containment cell, killing him on the behest of Jack
I
Cabot,
did everything I could to avoid this.
or release him and aid him in his quest for revenge by brutally murdering his entire family.
Do not let him out.
Think back on everything Jack has told you. Who do you think is really the crazy one here?
You are. I don't know. We're both crazy. Dunwich
In the
borders.
northeast, you'll find a giant excavation site previously owned by the company Dunwich LLC, now completely infested with raiders. Once inside, you can read terminal entries that show evidence that the company ignored safety concerns by most of the staff due to possible financial impact. As you descend deeper into the mine, the earth tremors as if an indication of something more sinister stirring below. As you continue,
There
you
is.
read about Sorga's Ironworks leader, Slag, and how the raiders are fearful of all the ghouls that are present, and that they claim they keep hearing strange noises.
Only a fucking coward hides.
Another entry explains that a crew that was sent to clear out the ghouls never returned. And finally, the person writing the entries became incredibly paranoid, only repeating the phrase, "I'm safe in the light. I'm safe in the light." Similar to the Dunwich building in Fallout 3, random flashbacks to times before the Great War occur spontaneously, hinting to its paranormal background and its relations to the author H.P. Lovecraft and his book series, The Cthulhu Mythos, and in particular, the short story, The Dunwich Horror. When you venture further through the caves, you find the team leader, Tim shoots holotape, which explains that he and his team had to fake that they knew what they were doing because the point of the mine was far more insidious than they'd
No
let on.
suspicions were raised when new equipment was
Huh.
brought in the other day. Crew at Station 4 are still under the impression that we were setting up.
Note to self, whenever something has the name Dunwich in it,
Flashback, you'll see Tim
note to self, whenever something has the name Dunwich in it, it's automatically bad news.
performing a ritual whilst being surrounded by what appears to be workers with their hands bound on their knees whilst he wields a dagger on an altar. When the flashback finally dissipates, you're attacked by the same members of the Dig management, all of which became ghouls, including Tim himself. Ironically, that was the same Dig management who were promised rewards for their actions. If you bravely venture into the irradiated water, there's a hidden passage that leads to a now submerged shrine beneath it. On the altar, you find a sacrificial blade, Kremva's tooth, and 2 mini nukes on each side of it. In the bottom of the well, one can notice part of a statue that resembles a face. Using console commands, it's possible to clip outside the map to reveal the whole statue. This can be interpreted as a reference to the Shunned House, which the narrator discovers the elbow of some titanic being entombed beneath the house and realizes that the rest of it must be underground. The antagonist of the Dunwich Horror is an invisible monstrosity that can only be seen with the use of magic powder.
Whoa.
That's it for our creepiest locations in Fallout 4, though there are a ton more, so make sure to head
Whoa.
over to fallout.gamepedia.com for all your Gamepedia needs.
Okay.
As always, this is Dash Ricard saying thanks for watching and enjoy the game.
Enjoy the game. Dang. That was pretty weird. Especially, I'm guessing my 2 favorites are the Dunwich Mines and that one insane asylum. Of course that is to be expected. But still, I'm curious. What? I do know one disturbing. I knew one disturbing vault in Fallout 4, but what about the other disturbing vaults? I want to know. But as for this list, it was pretty terrifying. But and yeah, I'm definitely glad I reacted to this. Like I said in the last video, I'm gonna be back in a few minutes. I just need to collect my thoughts. Stay smiling, party on, and see you in a few minutes.